I have read a lot of indie comics in my time, but are indie comics by YouTubers really that bad? Yes. What about manga? There's a lot of manga YouTubers out there. Are they really as bad as people say that they are? Yes. If you're a YouTuber, you just make bad things. I think, it's difficult to know whether or not a recommendation is authentic for a manga or comic written by a YouTuber, because you're not sure if you're hearing that just because someone is really a fan of the YouTube channel and they just want to support the YouTube channel by supporting the manga associated with it. Or maybe the opposite is true. Maybe someone is just a hater of the YouTube channel and they claim that it's much worse than it actually is. But today we are going to be looking at multiple manga by different YouTubers, and I will be judging solely based on each volume 1 of the manga, giving you my own opinion on whether or not it is good or even really passable. So first up on our list, how could we possibly start off a manga by YouTubers video without reviewing this one? Probably one of the most well-known, Apple Black. Yes, I bought it. Apple Black was written by manga YouTuber White Manga. It's also published through Saturday AM, which is known for being one of the leaders when it comes to indie manga publishing, prioritizing their marketing as being diverse manga. And yes, there is a bunch of drama with Saturday AM. I could go over that, but that's not really what this video is about, so if you want to know about what beef people have with Saturday AM, just look in the comments section because someone is probably already typing about it as I speak. But what is Apple Black specifically about? Well, the idea is all these people, they live in this place called Eden, right? And there are these magical fruits called black. They're probably apples, because they're apple black. And when people ate these fruits, they became sorcerers. And that's what separated, you know, normies from the magic casting people. These are not devil fruits. Original idea, do not steal. And our main character is specifically going to an academy to, yes, study sorcery. But what makes our main character a little bit more different is he inherited his wand through his father, who was mysteriously murdered. And his father's wand is not just a normal swish and flick. No, no, no. It is an actual arm. So by inheriting his father's wand, he inherited that dude's arm just attached to him. Which is an interesting idea. I like the fact that all these different wands that these sorcerers have, so they're all different things. And so there's a little bit of trickery that can happen because they can pretend something is their wand when it's not really their wand. They can have their wand hidden as an everyday item that they just bring along with them. You know, there's some fun to be had with that idea. And there are, of course, sorcerer villains within this series. They are known as simply the Rebels. I'm not 100% sure what their motivations are. I'm sure that they have them though. And our main character Sano is going to learn sorcery, get super powerful with his ultimate wand that he inherited from his father, and then he's going to find his father's killers, and once he finds them, he's going to forgive them. Wait a minute. That can't be right. As for what I would do to those responsible for my father's demise, I'm gonna forgive to set us all free. It's not that I'm against forgiveness as a theme in stories, but I feel like maybe people take it a little too far. You know, forgive when it makes sense to forgive. If he finds the people responsible for his father's death and they are just absolute monsters, maybe it's not a good idea to just forgive and let go of that. But I mean, I don't know exactly what they had in mind for the ongoing theme of Apple Black. I've only read the first volume, and I will take the time to point out, because other people will point it out, this is not very well received by people who have read it. And often when I hear reviews of Apple Black, people are just kind of going off about how bad it is and how many ideas are just ripped off of other ideas. And yeah, I kind of see it. There is some ripping off, and I'm not just talking about genres, which, you know, going to the Magical Academy. That at this point, a lot of people do some equivalent of that kind of genre, kind of like the whole isekai genre. After a while, it just becomes its own genre of story that follows this formula, but it kind of goes beyond that. I definitely see very prominently a lot of One Piece influences. Obviously, I made the joke about the devil fruits basically being the apple blacks, but going even further than that, they have like a almost copy and paste equivalent of the transponder snails from One Piece, but instead of snails, they're just flowers, and they do everything that the snails do in One Piece when it comes to like announcing messages, being phones, being video recording, you know, all of it is just like the same, only in Apple Black it's flowers. It's not snails anymore, therefore it's different. And then of course you also have the wanted posters for all of the rebels, and the wanted posters look almost exactly like the design of the wanted posters in One Piece also. I know that's maybe a nitpick, maybe all wanted posters just kind of look generally the same, but it does look really similar, and I can't just keep on seeing all of these things in this story that remind me of another story, because then it's all I'm ever going to be thinking about. Now, all that being said, putting that all aside, it's not bad necessarily to have influences or to have ideas that come from other manga and incorporating them into your own story. It's all about how you do it. It's all about the execution. You need to be able to add your own flavor to it. You need to be able to make it feel distinctly you, as opposed to just feeling like a copy-paste collage of other manga stitched together. And it's not even my biggest issue with the first volume of Apple Black. The actual biggest issue that I have with it is very bloated. We're just introduced to character after character after character. None of them really leave a very lasting impression. We don't have any reason to feel anything for any of the characters we're being introduced to, especially the main character. He has the most time dedicated to him, and yet I feel like I barely know this guy. It really does just jump you into it, and it feels very overindulgent. Like it wants to have all the good stuff right away without doing any of the work. But I can say the art for Apple Black is pretty damn good. I actually really enjoy the art for this manga. I would say that out of all the manga I'm going to be reviewing on this channel, this feels the most authentic manga in terms of art style alone. Not that the other art styles of the other manga I'm going to be reviewing aren't good, but they feel a little bit maybe more westernized. But as far as the storytelling, very generic, very cardboard right off the bat. I think that you could have done a much better intro. Granted, I did hear that the story gets better as it goes on. Maybe he finds his groove when it comes to writing, but I'm only reviewing based on the first volume, and the first volume was just pretty bloated, very directionless, and I didn't really feel anything for the characters, and overall, just kinda not memorable. But definitely let me know what you think of Apple Black down below in the comments section if you have your own opinions on the matter, because we're gonna move on to the next manga that we're reviewing. Ruthless Render by D.D. Mark. Now I actually do really love the cover of this one. I did have some artistic nitpicks, but I do think overall the art is very good. One of my biggest issues with this cover is just how tiny the title is. Why is it so tiny? You have all this space. Bump it up. You just take it, boom. You boom it up. Make it bigger. The other issue that I have with the manga is more so an interior issue, and that is the women in this manga look like dudes in wigs. I'm very sorry to inform you guys, but cute women are not really in the cards for you when it comes to Ruthless Render. And lastly, there is a spot within the pages where, yes, panels are not in a correct order. And I know what you're thinking, oh, Dannphan, you just think that because you're reading it like a Western style comic. As if I would read an entire book backwards without realizing. Specifically, I mean scenes like this and scenes equivalent to being like this, where you have these rows, but when it's divided perfectly down the middle like this, it turns them into columns. And he tried to put like this bigger gutter space in between them to distinguish the top from the bottom, but it's just not enough. I didn't read it in the format that he intended. I read it like that, and that's not what you're supposed to read it like. It's supposed to be that. These types of issues are something that I wouldn't normally expect from someone who dedicates their whole YouTube channel to studying and learning from manga. This is a pretty basic paneling mistake, so it feels bad. It feels bad to see that. But enough about the art nitpicks, because I will say I think the art is overall actually very good. It is. It's overall very good in this manga, and I love the cover. As soon as I saw that cover, I was like, damn, that looks real stylized and cool. That looks like something I really want to read. But now let's go over specifically the story of Ruthless Render. What is it about? Well, first we get a little bit of an introduction into the world and what kind of rules we're working with here. So there are people who can use their words to magic something into existence. And the people who can do that are called utters. I know what you're thinking. Utters belong on a cow. But I kind of get what DD Mark was going for with that, because it's like, oh, well, they're muttering something, so we'll just call them utters. Needed workshopping. Your terms needed workshopping. I would have probably just called them chanters, because it's like, oh, well, you're chanting a magic spell in order to get something to come into existence. It also sounds like enchanter, so it would be kind of easier to understand. And then the things that they are uttering into existence are known as renders. Now, sometimes it's just magic spells that they're rendering. You know, they call it like rendered ability when they're using their chanting to cast magic spells, or they can basically summon demons. But they're not called monsters, and they're not called demons, called renders. It's kind of an ongoing joke that many writers, especially new writers, are kind of insecure about using generic terms like monster or demon. Don't be scared, guys. Let me just say that right off the bat. Don't be scared of using a generic term. It's not about the term that you use. Just because you use a different term, it's not going to make it more interesting. The story is what the story is. You just got to focus on executing well. But getting back into the story itself, it follows our main character, Castiel, who is kind of a timid high schooler whose mother died when he was young. He considers like killing himself right away, but he just remembers his mom telling him that she wants him to live a long life and get married. And that motivates him to keep going. Unfortunately, he has a rather shady job as a loan shark, working with some bad people to off some other bad people, even though he doesn't like doing it. And one day he decides to sneak some money to himself. Why does he do this? Well, because he wants to buy the girl that he likes a pretty gift and confess his love to her. The mafia bros find out about this, and they're like, all right, Castiel, we're gonna kill both you and your girlfriend now, because that's what you get for stealing money from us. And they actually do. They actually kill them both. Hey, what happened? The main character died already? Well, that's when we get the hook of the series, the twist, I suppose. And that being that Castiel is not necessarily a normal human. Rather, instead, he himself is a render that was spoke into existence. And there's a bit of a mystery behind how that is, how that's possible. I have my own theories without, actually reading the whole series, but it's interesting. It's a good start to a manga series. And yes, I do see the parallels that they have with other influences out there. The whole interrogation scene felt a little bit like Jujutsu Kaisen with their interrogation scene. And in general, the monster design is very reminiscent of the monster design from Kaiju number 8. Even some of the jokes are kinda similar to what I've seen in Kaiju number 8. It was a well executed enough opening for me to actually enjoy it despite that. Out of all the manga I've read for this video, I was the most interested in Ruthless Render. Not even just me putting it on, I was actually reading it halfway through. I was thinking to myself, this is actually not bad. I'm actually enjoying this so far. Notice I said when I was about halfway through, because there is something that kinda ruins it. And you know, I've been burned on manga before, where it starts off really good and then they just kinda ruin it. I hate it when that happens, but it happens. Oh, it happens. They do a little bit of a jump ahead. Very next scene we see with Castiel, he's about to hang himself. One of the people at the organization who walks in on him, who will later be established as his new friend, he walks in, sees him about to hang himself, and you think, wow, this is a perfect opportunity to establish a relationship between these two characters who've never met each other before. Because now you get to have this stranger character care that this guy is about to kill himself. Maybe he tries to talk him out of it, or maybe he reacts in a super overdramatic way, no, don't do it, and jumps on him. You know, comedic stuff that also shows us this character is a good person and that he cares when people are about to kill. No, he don't care. He don't care that this guy's about to kill himself. He looks at him stone cold and he's just you gonna do it or what? They're going to be friends? In the same scene, at the end of the scene, they're teehee, we're gonna be friends now. Fuck you. You don't care if I live or die? Fuck you. Get on my life. What? They're gonna be friends with you? Why would you set it up like that? Why would you have their first scene of them meeting each other be you gonna kill yourself or what? But it gets a little bit worse because Castiel also kind of comes off as a psychopath, where he talks about how he realizes that he doesn't actually care that the girl that he liked died, which is very contrary to what we saw in the first half of the book, where he's holding her and crying. It's okay to have a character care when a girl he likes dies. Why did you backtrack on that? That was one of the only relatable things about the character. He's oh yeah, I realize I don't actually care that she died. I think I didn't actually like her. Now, part of the reason that they're doing this is because they want the main character, Castiel, to have a crush on every woman that he sees, basically. Because the next woman that he decides he has a crush on is this friend character's girlfriend. Yikes. No, tapping out of that one. Tapping out, I'm done, you lost me, Why'd you do that? Why'd you do something stupid? Okay, but completing the first volume, it just ends with a fight scene. He's using his new render transformation, establishing how his render transformation works. Apparently when he transforms, he gets dumber, kind of like the Hulk. He can't really speak very well. He speaks in very choppy words, despite the fact that he apparently doesn't care about his almost girlfriend dying. He really cares about other innocent civilians dying, or at least maybe he pretends to. I don't really know. I don't know what they were going for with this character. Maybe part of it is they were trying to do maybe a Chainsaw Man thing. They were taking some inspiration from Denji, but it just didn't fit with how you introduced the character and his problems. It feels like he just becomes somebody different by the time you get halfway through the book. But as I was saying before, I do still think out of all the manga I read for this video, this was probably the best one, even if only for a moment. Even if only for half of this, I was enjoying myself, but it's just very difficult to get past that one scene. And it really is just kind of that one scene that turns this whole manga on its head and completely distorts what I was expecting from it. So for those of you who don't realize how important writing and execution is, just look at the screen. This is all it took. These 2 panels were the beginning of the end for me. Writing is hard. Stop telling people writing is easy, anyone can write. No, writing is really hard. All that being said, you know, cheers to DD Mark. I didn't think it was that bad. It's just you need to have a little bit of restraint with what you're actually, you know, putting forward what you're actually going for and giving people the correct expectations for the rest of the series. If you watching this video have your own input as to like where the series goes later on and whether or not it's worth picking up again, if I should read the rest of it, let me know. But for now, we gotta move on to the next and last manga that I will be reviewing for this video. And that is Monsters We Make by Corey X Kenshin. This has an interesting story behind it, I'll give it that. So this YouTuber disappeared for like a year. Nobody knew what the heck he was working on. He comes back, he's like, boom, I made a manga. I made my magnum opus. Buy it. And then people buy it. People actually bought it. Damn, I wish I could do that. I can't, but I wish I could. The ultimate envious story to hear from another YouTuber. This guy didn't make any manga before this, so that in of itself is a little bit of a red flag. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you intend to make a comic or a manga and you have no prior experience, it's going to be very painful. It's going to be a very painful experience for everybody. Your first work is never your best work. Remember that, guys. And as you can probably tell by looking, this is a little bit thicker than the other ones. It's a little bit thicker. Now, part of this is just maybe the page thickness itself making it a bit thicker, but it is pretty beefy. I think this is like 250 pages altogether. And this is actually the only manga of the ones that we've read that is read from the classic manga standard, being right to left. It's not going to be published in Japan or anything. I guess it's just more so for personal aesthetics, but personally he wanted to do that. Compared to the first 2, I think this is the most Western feeling manga out of them all. Despite the fact that it's read the authentic manga way, it is the most Western feeling, both in terms of writing and also the art. But let me go over the story now so you can have some insight into what we're dealing with. So our main character is Jabari. I don't care if I said it wrong. And they're in this like New Eden, with a Y, city, right? And he's gonna go to Eden Academy. And this is supposed to be like the best school for the best people, you know? You know how it is with that one Japanese trope where there's the school that's supposed to be for the smartest and most talented people on Earth. Yeah, it's basically that. That's what this school is. He is one of the best and smartest and most talented people on Earth. Getting a little bit of lore into the world itself, it is kind of a sci-fi-esque world. Supposedly, this is a world that exists after there was this reset of humanity. Specifically, this event that they refer to as the Eternal Night. There was no light, no electricity, and no world order, no like government interference with the rest of the world for some reason, for 2 weeks. Apparently 2 weeks is all it takes for humanity to crumble and just turn into savages, at least according to this manga. Let's see, darkness engulfed the world, forcing humanity to revert to primal instincts, eat or starve, kill or die. Not to like poke holes in this little plot synopsis here, but you could survive off of canned vegetables for 2 weeks. It's not that bad. I mean, I could understand it causing a lot of depression to be without the sun for so long, but like, I don't think people would just like go insane because they can't get on their iPad. How dark was it? Were we all effectively blind for 2 weeks? Or could you still like kind of read a book if you squinted, you know? Like, are we talking dark as in like by moonlight? Or are we talking dark as in like abyssal? I mean, even without electricity, you could still make light in the darkness because you can make fire. And also without an electrical charge, you still have battery charges. So you would still have flashlights. So you know what? Doesn't matter how dark it was. Fuck my previous statement. It doesn't matter. That's a ridiculous backstory for this world, I gotta say. Eternal Night. It lasted 2 weeks. Relax. Anyway, the main story is he's gonna go to this super academy for the super elite, very talented, smart, and athletic peoples. And people tell him ahead of time, like, hey, you're gonna take your, like, secondary exam for this academy, but don't do too well. You know, reel it back a little bit. And he's like, fuck you, I'm arrogant. I'm gonna do super fucking well. And so he does really well. And he, like, breaks records and shit. Principal, like, or whoever, calls him to her office, and she's like, congratulations, you did extremely well on your exam. So well that now we're going to recruit you to fight monsters. Why, though? Oh, remember what I mentioned about how, like, people are, like, insecure about calling monsters monsters or demons demons? They're called leakers in this story. And as Jabari mentions to this woman, like, hey, why don't you get, like, the police to do that? Maybe, I don't know, just adults to do that? Why are you getting a bunch of teenage kids to fight these leakers for you? And she goes, because shut up. She has no answer to this. It's just, we don't have to explain shit. So he's like, fuck you, I'm not gonna do it. And then instead of her being like, hey, these leakers are really dangerous, they could hurt you or they could hurt your family, you would be doing, like, a great thing for your country to fight these things. Instead of doing that, you know, like trying to play towards his morality or his sympathy, his empathy, she instead threatens to fire his father from his job. But it's enough to convince the main character, like, alright, fine then, I guess I'll save the world. So what exactly are these leakers? Why are they attacking people? You know, it's not 100% clear, despite having this many pages in the manga. It seems like they're victims of... Alright, this is gonna sound a little bit retarded, but this is a little bit of a headcanon based on the information that I got from this first volume. It seems as though they are normal people who have become extremist after listening to a podcast. It's very modern of you, Corey. So it seems like when they listen to this hypnotic podcast, they turn into monsters. But not like really, it's just kind of like a skin that they wear over their skin, but when you, like, break open the monster part, the normal human is inside. It doesn't matter though, because they don't save the person, they just kill them. Break open the monster part and kill the human inside, so it doesn't matter, don't think about it. Now, none of the people who go to this academy have any superpowers or anything. They just kind of are smart, athletic, and I guess play piano. Really great people to recruit for your monster hunting organization. But don't worry, guys, because they have these special suits that they give people, and when you wear the suit, you get a superpower, essentially, that's unique to you. It's kind of like the Kaiju number 8 suits, but those suits are more so about increasing your athletic abilities. These suits are completely fucking random what they do to you. Like, the main character gets some sound powers, this other bitch named September gets the powers to control plants. It's just the X gene. I don't know how it works. Anyway, so that's the story. He, like, learns to work together with his new team, fighting these leakers even though he doesn't want to, and I guess they turn into leakers because a podcast. I didn't really like this one. Gotta be honest, you know, Apple Black, it's kind of generic. I had difficulty getting attached to it. Ruthless Render was pretty good, but then they have that one weird scene that makes me feel very detached from what I had previously read. And then this one was torture to read. It was actually quite a slog to get through. There's really no insight into how to properly pace the story or how to deliver information. There's so many scenes in this manga that feel like they could have just been cut, and every single time I see a scene that just goes on forever and is super boring, and I think, oh man, this should have just been cut, I'm also thinking, wow, what a waste of money. all these pages, you paid for every single one of those pages to be drawn and edited and lettered, and like all those pages that could have just been cut from the story entirely. This is just money, 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 money. Now this is something a lot of writers, especially even novel writers who transition to writing comics and manga, they don't understand that you need to get information across while saying as little as possible. And that's like this own unique skill that especially a lot of comic writers have, and short story writers also have. And this just doesn't really strike me as someone who has that skill. And granted, you know, Corey had a bunch of people helping him out when it comes to working on this manga. 6 people, I believe, in total. And I say this as someone who is sympathetic to new writers out there who are just like taking a huge swing, doing their very first thing ever, and it gets a bunch of people reading it, and now they're all judging you for how you're not very experienced at writing. But the fact of the matter is, when you're picking up something from someone who's never written anything before, I just kind of expect it to be bad at that point. I'm delightfully surprised whenever it is good or even legible. So, you know, friendly reminder to new writers out there to eat some humble pie, because no, the first thing you ever wrote is not going to be great. But that's about all I really got to say on that. So just to remind you, here are the manga that I reviewed for this video, all manga by YouTubers out there. If you did like this video and you would like me to find even more manga by YouTubers, or maybe some more obscure manga by YouTubers, let me know. I can certainly go on the hunt for more for another video like this. And keep in mind, all of this is just my general opinions on how the story was, my experience reading it, which may be different from yours. So feel free to give your own thoughts down below in the comments section. Remember to like the video if you haven't already. You really should have, honestly. You got this far into the video and you didn't like it? What's wrong with you? And let me take the time to give you another friendly reminder that we have our own website, burningstarcomics.net, where you can check out other comics, not only from me, but from other people out there who are looking to get their work discovered by people like you who are interested in looking at indie work. Please check out the link down below and see if it's something that you think you would like. But that's gonna be it for me, guys, so I'll see you next time. Bye!
Program restart.